Ready to start the meeting now. Please join us for the Deschutes County Board of County Commissioners. It's our meeting Wednesday, October 2nd, at 2 p.m. And we will first start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any citizen input in the room? None? Any citizen input online, Stephen? Doreen. Okay, Doreen. Welcome this afternoon.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I see you have hundreds more acres slated to convert to EFU. In the last couple of days, I've seen several notice properties around me too. How many thousands of EFU acres have you converted in your time in office? Do you even know? How much has that helped with affordability and housing? There's a pretty surprising vacancy rate, so what is your real goal? I've been hearing you say that hay cost is way up and you use this as a justification for converting more EFU acres. How insane is that? The less farmland we have, the more expensive hay is. Like, I'm horrified at what I'm seeing around me. Meanwhile, I sit here while your flight schools of your airport that you're so proud of slap blades over my house, shaking my house and my light fixtures. So, and the planes are still diving my house. I mean, it's all just fun rogue pilotry out here, just trash farmland. We don't need farmland. We need all this lead in the air. We need our animals and our farms poisoned. Please do something about it. Start thinking about what the people have said in the 2040 planning. You spent a hell of a lot of money finding our opinion. Why aren't you applying it? I don't see it applied in the 2040 that you're also voting on today for your second reading. Where are you listening to us saying, hey, we want to protect our farms and our forests and our farmers and our wildlife? Where are you? Please do something to honor the citizens that you're supposed to be representing. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. And actually, I did hear hay is down, I believe. Hay prices are down. I was told that by someone that sells. So
Yay!
Well, but if you're a hay rancher, you don't want it to go down. So there's always both sides to the story. But thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else, Stephen? No one else. Okay. Let us go to our consent agenda then.
I'll move approval of consent agenda and one proposed slight edit to the minutes of August 21st. I don't know if I mention it now or.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so just in the middle of our notes about psilocybin hearing, it says Commissioner DeBone said the transportation access issue is a reason why to deny this application, adding that psilocybin is not the same as marijuana. And I meant, I don't know if I used the words, but the concept is the Cole memo for, clarity on federal prosecution. So I don't know if I said Cole memo at that point, but that kind of finishes the statement of what I was saying when I was making that statement. So.
Okay. That small edit added.
Just referencing the Cole memo is what I was referring to.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Commissioner DeBone?
Yes.
Commissioner Chang? Yes, and the chair votes yes with that slight edit. Okay, let's now go to item number 3.
Solar.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Nielsen with Deschutes County Facilities.
Wayne Powderly with Cumming Management Group.
So today we are requesting a motion to approve the notice of intent to award a contract to E2 Solar for a design build solar photovoltaic or PV system at the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center. This project is proposed as part of the courthouse expansion project to comply with state law requiring that public entities spend 1.5% of the total contract price of public improvements on green energy technology. This contract is for design build services where the contractor will design and install the PV system within a predetermined budget of approximately $640,000 or 1.5% of the cost of the courthouse expansion project. In this case, the courthouse expansion or the roof of the expansion in the existing courthouse is not suitable for solar panels. So the system is proposed to be installed on the conference center building at the Fair and Expo Center. This past August, the project team publicly advertised an RFP for a design build contractor for the project. We received 7 responsive proposals, and they were reviewed by a scoring panel made up of representatives of the Fair and Expo Center and the Facilities Department. E2 Solar was the highest scoring proposer, and the review committee recommends the selection of E2 Solar as the design build contractor for this project. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
So selecting a contractor for this, it's kind of I'm just thinking if I was the solar contractor, okay, $650,000, what can I build for it? So my question is, was there any kind of pre-design or pre-explanation of what could be built for that amount of money, or was it more just the qualifications of the companies and their historical work?
We did have Mayfield Engineering do a basis of design based on the square footage and the dollar value of the contract's going to be. So we used that in the RFP that we sent out to all the proposers.
Okay, so there was kind of a pre-design put out to the contractors. That was my kind of question. Okay.
It was based on qualifications, but also what size system they could provide within the.
How many watts?
310.
Great. Yeah, great.
Take up probably the 3 southeast facing roofs of the South Sister, Middle Sister, and the North Sister building of the fairgrounds.
Okay.
So when it's all done, how many buildings is it gonna run then?
It'll actually produce about 108% of the current load on those 3 buildings. So more than what they're currently using.
Okay, 108%.
Just not at night.
So will it have a capacity to have batteries store it then?
It's not currently included in the scope and the budget, but there could be, room for that expansion in the future.
That was actually what I was going to ask about. So the county received a community renewable energy program grant to do a design and plan for a solar project with battery storage, a microgrid at the Fair and Expo. And I know that we were not successful with securing the implementation grant through the same program yet for that installation. I want to just ask about kind of any connections between these 2 projects, and if there is battery storage created for the project that's coming in the future, could this project tie in essentially?
At this point, there is no plan for those 2 to tie together. We've kind of been treating this one as in isolation with the courthouse expansion. But we haven't tied it into that project.
Well, with that, I'll move approval of document number 2024-811, a notice of intent to award contract to E2 Solar.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? I do have a question. Then how much would battery storage cost? No idea, but I mean, wouldn't that be important? I mean, honestly, if we're gonna do something and we're gonna spend, what is it, a couple $100,000? What is it? Ton of money, then why wouldn't we want to have it stored too? I mean, that was like the time then we had a roof that needed to be replaced and we already had scaffolding on it for a heat vac unit or something. And I'm like, if you're already going up there, why aren't you doing that job too? So I mean, it just seems interesting.
Definitely address that when we get into the design phase with these guys too.
Okay, well, I just, it seems like, because we have so many events at night. Yeah, it's like, that would make perfect sense.
This is a grid intertied system, right? So I mean, the electrons that we use in those three buildings are not necessarily the electrons that are being generated on the roof. We're putting power into the grid, we're getting power back, and so I mean, if we're not using our actual electrons, it's not that the power is being wasted. It's going into the grid. Are we getting net metered for that power?
It will feed back to their existing meters. So like I said, it's about 108% roughly is their guesstimate.
Mm-hmm.
So their net metering obviously the overage will feed back into the grid. That's for sure.
Yes.
Otherwise, those three buildings will be self-sustaining,
Okay.
fully running.
Okay. So you will be using those electrons that are being generated on the roof right then and there in those buildings.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. But on a day when there's no events at the South Sister building, that power will be going into the grid, and then at other times we'll be getting power out of the grid to
Okay, so therefore calling for the vote, Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
yes.
and the chair votes yes. Thank you, Eric. Okay, we have item number 4. Holly? She's here?
Definitely less popular than Hallie. Your planning manager, Will Groves.
Less popular. Oh my gosh, what a line, Will.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. I'm filling in for Hallie and Jacob this afternoon, who are both out for a item which is the first reading.
But you have Stephanie with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have Steph.
Support.
Boy, we need her. No, we have, this is, of course, first reading by title only of ordinance 2024-010. This is the Eden Plan Amendment and Zone Change. And the history of the application is included in your packet, as well as draft documents associated with that. I'm going to allow Stephanie here to jump in. There's a couple minor changes that have been identified that would be important, discussing the relative function and legislative history of the prior activity, the prior board actions on this, and what's happening today. There's a risk under the current language that there's some confusion about the relative effect of your original decision as it interacts with this decision, and some minor language tweaks would likely fix that. And so Stephanie's going to.
Minor language tweaks. Okay, I like the word minor.
Yes, hello, everyone. Stephanie Marshall, Senior Assistant Legal Counsel. So we, and thank you to Hallie. She did a phenomenal job pulling all of this together. What I'm looking at specifically are 2 revisions. The first revision would be in the text of the ordinance that we're discussing today. This is ordinance 2024-010, and this would be in section 5. And what is proposed to clarify, again, the prior decision-making by the board and the recommendation of the hearings officer is that the first sentence in section 5
Point
remains.
us to the page number, Stephanie.
Okay, the page number is
13
The packet.
of the
A
packet,
couple
Packet.
pages into that stack.
page 2 of 3 of the ordinance.
right. And yes, page 2 of 3 of the ordinance, so that anybody online can also be tracking along. What we are proposing to clarify is section 5 would read as follows. Section 5, findings. The board adopts as its findings in support of this ordinance the decision of the board on remand as set forth in Exhibit F and incorporated by reference herein. So that remains the same. Now, the next sentence would be revised to state, these findings supplement and control over inconsistent findings in ordinance number 2022-013 as set forth in the original decision of the board, attached as Exhibit G, and the recommendation of the hearings officer attached as Exhibit H. And I'm pausing here to see if there are any questions.
So basically acknowledging that this is it's complete revised decision with all the input and the deliberations, or
Right, and I'll get to that next. We don't want to swap out in its entirety the new decision
Mm.
because not everything was remanded to the board and not everything was changed by the board in this, in its recent decision, and in the findings that are detailed, in your packet. The second revision, and again, this is along these same lines, would be to revise page 8 of Exhibit E to the ordinance. And Exhibit E is the comprehensive plan, section 5.12. And the proposed revision is to change the notation added to the description of ordinance 2022-013. That's the original ordinance the board adopted 2 years ago, to read in parentheses, supplemented and controlled by ordinance 2024-010. And we would rather have that language in there than superseded. Again, this is to keep all pieces in play that remain, unchanged by the board's recent decision this year. And again, I'll pause to see if there are any questions.
So I didn't find that reference.
Yeah,
but
we're-
I understand what you said. That was.
Right.
Okay, page 8 of Exhibit E, and perhaps we'll,
Is that 30? So 30 in the packet.
I should have brought my complete.
Got it. Okay, I
packet.
see.
Okay,
Okay, would you like me to go
So
over
that's
that
just
again?
No,
To
I was paying attention, so I understood what it was. I just didn't know where it was.
Got it. Okay. Any
So
questions?
that's the input, kind of the update history to the comp plan and a little bit different wording.
Right. Instead of superseded, we're going to say supplemented and controlled.
so superseded that's in the red on our packet, you're changing
Yes,
that.
that we're going to change that. Take out superseded, insert supplemented and controlled by. These procedural tweaks are important, but
Critical.
yes, critical. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if there aren't any questions on these findings, you don't have them before you right now. So those would be incorporated as I have described today in the ordinance and supporting documents.
And I support both of those as presented.
And so do I.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to Will and I'll stay here if there are any other questions.
So it's just those two small changes. Minor, as you call them.
You're just describing how this is being grafted onto the existing decision.
So again, this is available for you for consideration for first reading by title only as modified, if it is your pleasure, so to as modified by staff's recommendations. And we're also available for any questions or other topics you may have as you prepare to do that.
So on our packet, page 87, went sideways on me. Yeah, 87. It's Exhibit F, Attachment A, and it's kind of all the findings of fact for all the different aspects. And my question is, I don't know that I've seen that before, or it's just that it's such a big set of information that's what we have in this work product. So any context about that, how that fits in? Because I mean, every little item is kind of addressed in here, which is very thorough.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. And so in this case, I think we're experiencing a kind of a new age of the farm impacts test, and it's unclear to both the applicant, as the prevailing party and staff about what level of detail is going to be required to prove that the findings are supported by facts with regard to all of these potential farm impacts. A variety of questions were asked in the record. And in an attempt to minimize the possibility of remand, there's a very express responses to these. The anticipation is that, to the extent on remand, the hope, I guess, for all of us is that we'll get some clarity from LUBA about what's expected. But this is belt suspenders, another belt, another
Yeah,
suspenders.
yeah. No, and that's what I see because,
Mhm.
paragraph on every one of those is just amazing. So thank you for everyone that put that together. And I didn't read all the boxes, but I did skim through a lot of them.
And also, it's my understanding that that was part of your packet. So
Yeah.
it's all- Yeah, I was.
Yeah, it is.
Fine that you might not have seen.
Oh, yes.
As I say, I'm supportive of this document. I did read it, our current decision, and then it's backed up by our previous decision and the original hearings officer decision. So I'm supportive of this. If we just want to go to a motion with those proposed edits, are we ready for that? Is there any other?
No, I have no other questions.
Yeah. So with that, I'll move first reading of ordinance number 2024-010 for the Eden Plan Amendment and Zone Change, including the edits proposed
And by title only.
by title only.
And I will second that motion. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that this application was approved by the Board of Commissioners, sent up the chain, remanded to us with some specific instructions to consider various ways that this land could be used for agricultural purposes, eligible under exclusive farm use. And I don't feel that we did an adequate job of considering those issues under remand. And that if we approve this application at this point, it'll go back up the chain and we could be right back here again in a couple months or whenever. If the parties who are contesting this application choose to pursue further action. So I'll be voting no.
Okay.
But and along those lines, I mean, I do feel like we're being pressured into creating and sharpening state land use system, which is probably a legislative choice that could or should be done in Salem with the legislature. So now our state land use system is being utilized and changed by LCDC through this appeals process. And it's huge implications around the state of Oregon. When you have unproductive farmland without a history of agriculture and soils analysis, this is new case law being created, but I would ask the legislature to step in and give clarity because this is where government overreach can happen through departments and agencies and appeals processes. But that's going down a path that we're not talking about specifically today, but that's the response to what was just stated by Commissioner Chang.
I disagree.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's it. I mean, this is the sharp edge of Oregon land use right here.
That's not so sure.
Oh, it is very sharp, and especially if you grew up by the Rocky Hill side that I did. This is clearly a Rocky Hill side, and if we can do some homes, because you talk about doing affordable housing all the time, but you know what? You need the balance. You need the homes that actually are going to pay more in property taxes. So, and I feel like I think we've done an excellent job in analyzing, and if it comes back, so be it. But I want to make a stand that this is clearly not property that anybody in their right mind would buy to graze a cow and a calf on. And I did grow up on a ranch and I do talk to my family every day. So just in case you're wondering, they raise great beef and it's really nice when you have grass that they can eat. So
That's great. When you have a question posed to you, like, could this piece of property be used in conjunction with other pieces of land as part of a viable grazing operation? And you have a rancher next door who says, yeah, I could use that land as part of my grazing operation. I think that's a pretty clear answer to that question.
well, if you look at the history of their purchasing power over the decade, they clearly had an opportunity and with which they could have bought this land. So anyway, calling for the vote, Commissioner DeBonne.
It's pretty hard to afford land that has been driven up by speculation that it could be rezoned to something besides exclusive farm use.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Commissioner.
I'll vote yes.
And Commissioner Chang.
No.
And the chair votes yes. So I must give my deep appreciation to Hallie for all that work she did on this.
And there's a lot of work that went into the document by many people, I'm sure. So
Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and we will be back on October 16th for a second reading.
October 16th? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Will. You
Oh,
stepped in
I
nice.
gotta do the reading.
Could just read the title.
Oh, the title only. Oh my gosh. Where's that title at? Okay, an ordinance. Okay, ordinance number 2024-010. An ordinance amending Deschutes County Code Title 23, the Deschutes County Comprehensive Plan to change the comprehensive plan map designation for certain property from agricultural to rural residential exception area and amending Deschutes County Code Title 18, the Deschutes County zoning map to change the zone designation for certain property from exclusive farm use to rural residential by title only. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Riley. Okay, we're at item number 5. Will, is it you again?
You switch,
Oh, it's Nicole.
switch back and forth.
Apologies, commissioners. I had a training this morning, so I wasn't sure if I'd be able to attend, but I'm glad that I was able to. So for the record, Nicole Mardell, Senior Planner with Deschutes County Community Development, and today I'm here for second reading of Ordinance 2024-007, which is to formally adopt the Deschutes County 2040 Comprehensive Plan. The board held first reading just on September 16th. So we're here back for that required second reading. Following completion of that, of course, we have our 21-day appeal process, and if not appealed, then the 2040 plan would become effective on December 31st, 2024. So just a reminder that the comprehensive plan would apply to text amendments, land use applications, et cetera, following that effective date. And with that, I look to the board for any questions.
Thank you.
Just acknowledging, this is our visionary document. There's still, you can just kind of feel the tension, and it's a split decision here again. But this is it. Once again, this is Deschutes County. This is what acute focus on land use looks like in a growing county in the middle of the state of Oregon after 50 years of this state land use system. And I'm pleased with this work product and the efforts of the community that put this together with us. So I'll move approval of second reading of ordinance number 2024-007 by title only.
And I will second that. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that we received a tremendous amount of community input on this document, which is not reflected in the document. And what we heard from our citizens was that they wanted us to be good stewards of farmland, habitat, groundwater resources, open space, and other things. We have not honored the input from our community, and that's why I'll be voting no. I actually, one other thing I wanted to ask before we started going to motions was, I would actually like to have my name removed from the document, because while on the one hand, the document reflects who the commissioners were at the time it was passed. On the other hand, having commissioners' names appear on this document, in my opinion, reflects a support or approval of the document, and I do not approve of this document.
So is there anything else you could explain to me? Because I struggle with understanding where you're coming from. I mean,
I spent 4 months trying to explain to you where I
No,
was
but-
coming from, and
so there's 200,000 people, and we live in a contentious world right now. And I heard from the same people that you did. It seems like a smaller number of activist people that want to stop development here, which sounds like closing the door behind you from my point of view. Are you truly a believer that the world's going to come to an end because of climate change? Do you believe people should not be owning private property? I don't have a feel for the activist effort that
Those,
it seems like.
number one, the hundreds.
And
of-
I'm trying to understand. I'm not trying to attack here.
The
I'm
vast majority, the hundreds of comments that we got are in line with the comments that I made. A very small minority we're making statements like provocative statements like you're making about private property.
But do you truly believe that the engaged people that are doing that are representing the population as a whole? That's where I see a disconnect there. You know, we're represented by people, well, so maybe I can help you with this. I mean, some people just want to be left alone and they want some private property rights and they want to be able to live comfortably in this community and they don't take time to communicate in the public process. And some people like to use the public process to swing a big bat and try to change the world. When you look at the populace, it's a total population, 200,000 people or so. There's a balance in there. And yes, if I see 100 angry people in front of me, I'm acknowledging them. But probably there's as many or more that are not paying attention to this whole process. So then there's balance in the decisions we would make.
Saying you're representing the people who aren't showing up, aren't providing input, aren't talking to us, instead of listening to the people who believe that these issues are important enough that they are engaging, are providing public comment, are participating in focus groups, are showing up to open houses, is incredibly cynical and undemocratic.
But
And so
those are the
to
people
go
that
to
would
your,
vote for me,
Yeah,
are
yeah,
the
yeah.
ones that don't get engaged, that want to have confidence and comfort that we're looking out for their interests.
yeah,
So that's the difference between,
well,
you know, partisan sides of view, I guess.
it's not a partisan issue.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
general worldview. I'm electing
in-
somebody
in
that's
the-
going
in
to look
the-
out
in
for
the
me,
last-
or I'm going to elect somebody that listens to
in the
me
last
'cause I'm screaming the loudest.
Let me make it clear. In the last election, yeah, I was the one who received the support of many builders and the Realtors Association in the election, because I do believe that we need to grow. I just believe that we need to grow well. Our community needs workforce and affordable housing desperately. There is no way that you take a 10-acre rural residential zone lot, and turn that into workforce or affordable housing. What we can do with land is we can use land efficiently, you know, cottage developments, multifamily housing, and in so doing, produce housing that is affordable and is within reach to working people in our community. So my goal is, number one, to produce the housing that our community needs, not luxury, low-density rural residential development. And number two, to use the resources, our natural heritage, the land and the water that we have been gifted in this community efficiently to support human population and wildlife and carbon sequestration and farming and a whole range of other natural resource values. And this comprehensive plan does not encourage good stewardship and efficient use of our land.
Well, and there's a lot of statements taking input on both sides of a lot of these issues, and that's why I really support this. So one of the terminologies you mentioned was cottage development. We have people begging for cottage development, MUA 10, put 5 cottages in a horseshoe common development opportunity, but it's outside an urban growth boundary and the land use system locks it down. We've had people begging for that for years. So
I do believe we have, and we
Yeah.
didn't see her this year. Yeah. She's been begging for it forever.
So there's ways to do
There's plenty of land available. There is inadequate finance available to build, to essentially paid down the costs of housing construction so that those cottages can be available to the people who need them. There's plenty of land available. We got hundreds of acres available inside the city limits of Lapine. We do, the county does. Last time we put that land up for sale, nobody bidded on it. We have, there's hundreds of acres of land available
Well,
within the urban growth boundary of
We
the
had
city of
bidders,
Redmond.
and then you went for the home run swing with the high density play, and then the city is like, well, no, we don't want to do it like that. And then it
No,
fell apart.
I went for the high bidder because receiving those
But
funds.
the high
and being
density
able to
play
put-
was the problem with that play, with that also.
Yeah.
It was not accepted by the community.
No, at the point where that potential purchaser bailed out, none of the other potential purchasers were interested either
The
because of the change.
Yeah, oh yeah, it changed, yeah.
And of
So
course,
it's not because of the high density.
Oh, but
Of
that's
the-
why it didn't get approved. That's
And
why
it
we
wasn't-
walked away.
It wasn't high density, 5,000 square foot lots is not high density. That is standard urban
It is in
zoning.
my world.
Well, you don't live in an incorporated city, do you?
Well, but the.
We're
community-
talking about land inside of an
Yeah, but the
incorporated
the
city.
wishes of the community in Lapine is not smaller lots. And the state land use system pushes that down. So,
We are seeing a whole bunch of houses being built on standard
well.
standard size urban lots
Truly, I
in the city of
understand,
Pine.
because you're making some pretty bold statements about how, everybody's.
Well, like I said, I've been talking about this for at
least.
least 6 months. And you could have listened to me then rather than trying to
Oh, no.
debate my
I'm
opinion now.
comfortable in my position. I'm not asking for you to sway my opinion. I'm asking for understanding about where you're coming back. Because you do, the energy and the anger, and I'm just trying to understand. I'm just truly, I don't see you swaying my opinion
Why
there.
don't you go back and after this is done, watch the video of this item. And I think I stated my perspective pretty calmly. If I'm raising my voice, it's only because I'm being antagonized and baited with extremely provocative.
No, I'm just learning.
Let's-
Yeah. So I think it's been moved and seconded.
it was moved and seconded, calling for the vote for the moving approval of the first reading of the ordinance 2024-007 by title only. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
No.
and the chair votes yes, moving approval of second reading by title only. And I'm going to find it's ordinance number 2024-007, and ordinance repealing and replacing title 23 as the Deschutes County Comprehensive Plan. And then we need to have a motion for adoption.
I'll move adoption of ordinance 2024-007, the Deschutes County 2040 Comprehensive Plan Update.
I will second. Any further discussion? Calling for the vote? Do you need to say something?
Sorry to pop up at the last minute. I was wondering, as in the prior document, if there's a modification, Commissioner Chang had requested that his name be removed from the document, and is that currently that's not in our instruction set, so not asking for that, but if it's something that's the pleasure of the board to modify the document in that way, we're available for that.
Okay,
I mean, that's kind of awkward. I don't support it. I mean, I'd just rather see the 3 elected officials listed on there. I mean, as I say, that's a pretty bold statement to say you're a sitting commissioner and you don't support the work product of
My
the majority.
okay, so Kim, what would you suggest if he wants his name removed?
You would need to do a motion and.
You all get to vote me down if you like.
So you're putting us in a spot
Sure.
where you're
I
making a
wouldn't-
motion that you want your name removed and we need to vote on it.
I guess. I didn't know if I had to do that. I didn't know I had to do that, but if that is procedurally the way that plays out, I can do that.
We'll just administratively, we can remove it administratively. That's fine.
Okay. All right. Therefore, calling for the vote, moving an adoption of ordinance number 2024-007. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang.
No.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you very much, commissioners. If I may, I just wanted to talk a little bit about next steps. So as I mentioned, this will become effective December 31st, 2024. If it's not appealed, so that appeal period ends in 21 days. We're also planning to bring forward, after that appeal period concludes, the action plan. So we've already drafted that. It's been reviewed by the Planning Commission and essentially approved. They reached consensus on it last Thursday. So as we had mentioned during your deliberations process, the action plan is intended to be more of the fine-tuned, kind of detailed strategies to implement the comprehensive plan. And I will say that there's quite a few items in there. The Planning Commission shared that they really enjoyed that the action plan was part of the process because it reflected a lot of the input that wasn't within the scope of the comprehensive plan. So I will reach out to Brenda to schedule your review of the action plan. It's not a formally adopted document. It's more just to get your general approval of it, as it'll inform our annual work plan each year. But ideally that'll be, late this month or early next month. And yeah, we'll keep you updated. But thank you very much to the board again on this process. Really appreciate your input.
So those items on the action plan will be multiple years, just kind of bring that up. And then every time we look at a work plan, see if there's something we can pick off or what the priorities are.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think it'll be in place for like a full 10 years before we even start another process of the comp plan?
There's quite a bit of information in that action plan. I think certainly enough for
It'll take,
our annual work plan.
so that's your future career right there.
Yeah, so we didn't necessarily prioritize the items.
Yeah.
We figured we wanted to remain nimble each year, but I think you'll see quite a few really major items of community interest in that action plan.
Great.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Okay, let's go to item number 6, please. I see Audrey.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, my name's Audrey Stewart, Associate Planner with Community Development. The item before you today is board review of a draft decision denying a request for a psilocybin service center. So the applicant requested a conditional use permit and site plan review to establish a psilocybin service center at Juniper Preserve Destination Resort. This was denied by a hearings officer and appealed by the applicant to the board. So we held a public hearing before the board. As you may recall, this was reviewed limited de novo on very sort of 3 specific issue areas. The board then held deliberations on August 21st following an open record period. And I'm before you today with a draft decision for your consideration. You'll see that for the most part, this decision adopts the findings made by the hearings officer. The key exceptions are modifying findings regarding visual screening and clear vision areas. So this was based on updated information that the applicant submitted. And there's also language clarifying that materials received outside of a record period were not considered by the board. There's a suggested motion in your agenda packet. And with that, I'm available for any questions or discussion.
I'll take a moment and I'll move approval of the board signature of document number 2024-795, upholding a hearings officer decision denying a request for a psilocybin service center.
Okay, and I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion?
I'll say that the one unresolved issue from the hearings officer decision that we processed, which I don't feel we adequately processed, was the discussion of the transportation corridor across BLM land into Juniper Preserve. The applicants offered to essentially terminate their operation if there was any risk of or action taken by the BLM to revoke that right of way. And in my opinion, that was satisfactory to address the conditions needed for approval for this application.
After we deliberated, I was driving home at 67 miles an hour and I thought, okay, the speed limit's 65, but really I'm driving a little bit over it. And that was the same scenario we have here. It's like, you know, when an officer asks, how fast were you driving? Were you going 2 miles an hour over the speed limit? Were you breaking the law? Yes or no? So it was just pretty clear. As I say, I didn't intend on stopping a psilocybin, and I was involved with the setting up the land use here, but this was just that scenario where you know, it's the transport issue just not resolved. The Cole memo was not in place, a version of it. And, you know, how could a land use approval be created by saying, go ahead and work out of the existing laws and rules of the community? So just acknowledging how I came to that conclusion.
Okay, so calling for the vote, Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
No.
and the chair votes yes. And yesterday I was sitting by somebody from Pronghorn, and he said he was okay to sit by me. So that was nice to know.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, other items?
We got a letter from Department of Interior BLM asking for input to the Redmond parcels being utilized for future disposal land or whatever it is. So it's just a letter. I think we might have all got this. So I'm just bringing it up here, see if there's going to take a position or a statement or just acknowledge that that's happening out there. So this is the Steamboat Rock Special Recreation Area request for response. I'll give it to Nick, and that, you know, maybe if we want to take a position on it or
Okay.
send a letter in saying because you know, Terrebonne is kind of a commitment we made, so we do want the disposal capacity. Obviously, we've already kind of leaned into that.
I have not seen this letter yet.
Okay, yeah. So as I said, I think we all might have got it. I don't know if I would have just got it.
Ooh, I don't remember that one from.
Yeah, so I don't know why. I'm glad I brought it then, and maybe
Yeah.
we didn't all get it.
I don't think I was seeing it. So maybe we can get a copy and take a
Yeah,
look.
so go ahead and hand it to Nick then.
So this is related to the land for the city's wastewater treatment wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns about that.
Yeah, as I say, they're just looking for input and probably just, you know, exposure too, so they know that there's a proposed transaction out there.
The Steamboat Rock unit reaches all the way to the county properties that are right on the Middle Deschutes River upstream from Lower Bridge. So if there was any interface with the proposals to do a campground out there, then that would be the original exploration of doing a campground out there. That would be a whole nother thing to dig into, but
Well, yeah, maybe it's
this is not, this doesn't sound like it has anything to do with
no,
that,
it doesn't. But
that
maybe
portion of the Steamboat Rock unit.
at a work session, maybe pulling up a map and understanding the lay of the land out there, and if we want to write a letter of support or acknowledgement.
And we all did get a letter, I believe, from George Potter and Christy Clark regarding another fire in Lapine. And it was sent to the governor with Senators Wyden and Merkley copies, Cliff Benz, Mayor Richter. Yes, we were all notified that we've had too many fires going on in Lapine. So I believe that he did testify in our meeting a couple months ago. And we did have a meeting yesterday with the Central Oregon visitors. And we did elect with our new Scott Larson, our new director. The good news is we have new leadership. Tom O'Shea has come again to serve as chair of the group. So Tom O'Shea is taking over as of the next meeting. And yeah, Dana said she was ready to step down. So this is good. The interesting thing is that people now are very apprehensive about smoke coming here, vacationing. And the numbers, according to John Merriman, have been flat for Mount Bachelor. Zach did give good news that the airport is up 9%. And he is currently negotiating, hopefully maybe in 3 more years, we'll get Southwest Airlines here. But Avelo is there, Burbank, Las Vegas, and the desert is really doing well.
I'll share that Thursday last week, the managed camp work group that the city of Redmond is convening met, and Commissioner Darren and I are tag teaming that and rotating between meetings. There's been a significant amount of progress in essentially inventorying who's out there on a person by person, name by name, story by story basis, and spatially locating where camps are. Some of the concerns that are coming up are that the 45 acres where the county has offered land for a managed camp has a significant amount of significant number of people already camping in it unauthorized. So there, and also the corridor that the new road is going to come through to connect to Highway 126. That road corridor also has a significant number of existing unauthorized encampments. So there's going to have to be some planning around shuffling people, essentially asking people to leave certain areas in order to be able to set up sanctioned camping areas. But like I said, the good news is that we have a lot of information about where those unauthorized camps are, who's in them, how many people would be interested in going to a managed camp or some of the other shelter and transitional housing operations in that area at this point, if they were offered the opportunity to do so. So
I believe
sounds promising.
Mayor
but-
Fitch said the number was like 60%, said they would be willing or consider it.
Yeah. No, I
that's-
mean,
That's significant.
yeah. And so I think it's really promising that people are ready to come in and be accountable and have rules and meet with case managers and get on progress plans in exchange for having a safe, stable place to sleep at night. So there's a little update on that meeting. The last 2 days, we've had 3 visiting county commissioners in Deschutes County, and I'll just share with you the agenda for that learning exchange that we did under AOC's auspices over the last couple of days.
Well, Monday, I think half the people in Deschutes County actually went to the regional meeting for AOC. We had Chris Doty was there from the road department. Steve Dennison was there from the clerk's office. Tom Kuhn was there as our treasurer. We had someone from Oregon State that Nicole, I said, oh, Nicole, please don't say you're from Deschutes County. She was representing the tri-region. Okay, and who was the other person? We had like 5 people and then us. So there were like at least 5 people from 6 people from Deschutes County for the regional meeting in Lakeview. And I don't know if we all stopped and got gas at the same station, but we were there. I thought it was a
20
good,
minutes behind you. Yep.
yeah, it was a good meeting. And Patty Doro will be our new chair for the region. So which it was good.
When you're the vice chair, is that what that was?
Yeah, I'm the vice chair.
Congratulations.
Wow. Oh, boy.
And I'm on the membership committee now.
Oh, that will be great because membership has been really successful in, yeah, going from like raising $30,000 or $15,000 to almost 300,000. We've really done some good things there, and having Bill Coon's expertise for the financing has been very, very helpful. Oh, and then this morning, actually, I went out at the Big Eddie Byrne. Holly Jukes informed me that, and we'd heard, but I didn't know how many, that 23 of the new apartments that haven't actually opened up yet at the Old Mill Inn and Suites are for the China Hat residences. So there's 76 units, and apparently 25 of those will be for China Hat. So hopefully some of those people will be considering moving in, and that is supposed to open up as of next Monday.
So I guess I have a little bit more. So Sun River Lapine Economic Development yesterday. There was a meeting at lunchtime, and Scott Larson was there also. So he's stepping in from Visit Central Oregon, taking over for Christine McConnell. So she has done that for many years. So he's able to make some connections in Southern Deschutes County, and that was a good opportunity for him to sit down with a local group. And then there was also a reception for the sled last night at Legend Cider. So that was pretty well attended. There was probably 30 people there. Just outreach, making sure there's connections, COCC and the EDCO staff and some title companies, some of the business owners. It was really a good event last night. So as I say, Scott was with us. And then I think Friday and Sunday is the Deschutes Civic Assembly coming around. So we had, let them use the logo, and we said we'll take some recommendations for whatever comes out of this. So I'll be seeing them on Sunday afternoon, and then I'll also Friday morning real quick, I'll be saying hi as they kick off their presentation with Anthony Broadman also.
So, and the interesting thing, I'm hearing from Tom O'Shea, because I believe it was the first time in 17 years with the level 2 at Sun River, and what is it you do? And so Mr. O'Shea said there's a lot of things that they've really learned, how they have got to update their responses. People, what if something happens at 2 a.m? How do people get in there? And, we have the emergency numbers or the system that we have, but when people check into the resort, do they get those numbers in their phone so that you can actually notify them that we have a level 2 fire and you perhaps need to think about what you're doing? So it sounded like it was a really good learning experience. I know the night it went to level 2, they had 100 foreign students there that they were worried about, and they got them cars, but you couldn't find a place for them to go. I know the Red Cross did set something up in Lapine, but it was, there was a lot of things going on. So the good news is we're still in fire season, and as Holly said, she is praying for the first major snow or rain sooner rather than later.
I guess I have one more item. Last Friday was Sun River Police Chief for a half a day really, but it was just working with Chief Lopez and Tori Kornblum, and spending time there. We went to the resort, went over to Caldera Springs, their new facility, the pool facility they have at Caldera Springs, and was at the office, and just a lot of good camaraderie, learning about what they do, how they do it, and the culture of the office. So that worked out pretty well. And that was a fundraiser I signed up for about 6 months ago, and I finally followed through with it. Sun River Police.
Great. And Rooted Homes had their Redmond dedication Friday morning on an actual farm that's been converted. Will have their cottages, and they've kept the farmhouse, though I don't believe it's the original farmhouse, but they have kept a 4 or 5 bedroom home on the property. It's 2 acres, right on Antler. It's going to be a great opportunity. Washington Trust Bank was there. They were the funders, lenders, and anyway, great opportunity for that community, and they are so looking forward to getting that project. We just threw some dirt.
Sorry, one more thing. Since we met last, just Core 3 Executive Council meeting. So that was last Thursday. So that's why it was after our last board meeting still. So Core 3 Executive Council meeting, we had a great roundtable meeting up in Redmond at the Fire District meeting room. Pretty well attended by anybody and everybody, Central Oregon folks that were interested in this topic. COIC had set up for the bidding process, the CMGC, sorry about that. Yeah, construction manager, general contractor, bidding style. So now we're going to take the next step and have a CMGC person outreach. So we'll have somebody on staff for us here pretty soon. Also, there's legislative ask for some money down there too. So we'll see. There's $10 million in the bank, but we'll have a $30 million first phase. So there's kind of a $20 million
They're asking for
window
20.
there. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what are they asking for? So it's 20 million, huh? Okay, all right. Oh, we'll have to see. Great. Anything else?
2 items. Jen, I think, has a letter, if I recall correctly, 2 letters
Letters.
to come up. And I just want to provide a quick update. Yesterday afternoon, the local Public Safety Coordinating Council met. Our chair, presiding judge, Wells Ashby, was not able to attend, so I chaired that meeting. And we had 2, as I serve as the vice chair, 2 really great updates. One focused on the House Bill 4002 deflection program, and Deputy Neil Marchington provided a really nice summary of our program. And Angie Powers in our office is requesting the presentation so I can provide that directly to the board. It was a really great overview of what qualifies people to enter the program. Some people don't qualify for the program because they're dangerous, as he described, for one reason or another, and he provided all of those examples. He discussed how 9 people have entered the deflection program since mid to late September. 7 are really committed to participating in the program. 1 is a bit uncertain, and 1 didn't appear to be prepared to move forward with it. But and so we talked about, when will the trend data, so we have a better sense of how many people might actually enter the program going forward. And he said it probably is 90 days or so before we're able to get the good trend program. But he really did a nice job presenting to the group. And then the other big topic we discussed is the public defender and unrepresented persons update. And Angie Curtis provided that to us. She said that there are currently 152 people that are not currently represented. But with that said, there are 3 firms and there are other attorneys that are all working to staff up to really begin to meet this need. She was encouraging for the longer term and the short term. As these firms are staffing up, it's going to take time for them to train, to prepare people to represent people. But the longer term, they're really committed to getting the public defenders to provide representation. So optimistic is what really the word she said initially, encouraging. And I was kind of latching onto that. She said, well, I am encouraged, but it's more of optimism for the future. So a real commitment. In any event, it was a good meeting.
It was on, they picked it up on the radio this morning on the news. So how long will it take them in training? Like 6 months or something? Or she said it's not a quick thing.
Right. And that is exactly the question I wish that I had asked. And after the meeting,
Okay.
of course, our front office person, Angie Powers, said, gosh, if I could have asked one question. I said, oh, you can. And that was exactly her question. So
No, I mean, I know, because she said it wasn't a quick train, but it's definitely, if there's 152 people that need, that's a huge ask. Yeah, somebody had called us and I talked to this gentleman and he'd had a court case counseled postponed twice. And it's over child custody. And he has been told it's because we don't have enough judges. And I'm like, but gosh, that can't really be true because we added 2 judges. Now I know needed 3, but we did add 2. And so I've been trying to get to the bottom of for him because unfortunately his legal bills keep mounting. And, and it is child custody and you hate for family things like that to go on and on. So, yeah.
Thank you. So Chair, if I may turn it over to Jen.
Okay.
person with
Thanks,
two
Jen.
letters.
For some reason, second one turned off last night. The first page was colored.
Oh. You were saving ink. Okay, so I have 2 of the one, I believe, or is there different?
Did I collate wrong? I just collated sitting there. There should
Okay. Yeah, because I have 2 letters here. I have these.
Double stack?
I
Oh,
have,
yeah, double.
I have a double stack.
Maybe I printed one.
Maybe you did. You probably did.
Okay. For the record, Jen Patterson, Strategic Initiatives Manager. I believe the top letter is the letter for Clear Alliance.
Oh, I don't have that one. I have the Giving Plate one. I have one for the Giving Plate.
Here.
The color, the one with
The color one is for Claire.
Oh, it says to the to ODOT. Yeah.
Okay, oh, here it is. I see Clear Lights down there. Okay.
We're getting there.
All right. Well, how exciting is this?
Okay, so this first one is Clear Alliance. Kate reached out to us. Sorry, let me just pull it up so I have all the information right in front of me. So Kate Duke, Executive Director, reached out to us. They realized as I'm saying this, they received a grant from ODOT. And the one question I had in my 3 conversations with her was, I didn't ask her how much the grant dollars was for. So I will look into that and get that back to you. But they did already receive the grant approval from ODOT for this campaign. And as a part of the acceptance of that is they need a specific letter with specific language in there from counties where that grant program dollars are being spent. So that's what this letter is for. Specifically, the last 2 paragraphs are very specific language that ODOT wanted requested in that. But the grant program is to develop a cannabis impaired driving prevention education course and media campaign. So that's what they received the grant for. And then they're asking the county to provide a.
Are they doing it for Crook and Jefferson too?
I don't know that answer. I can ask Kate. that
Okay,
question.
I'm sure they probably are.
So the grant has already been, this is not a letter of support. This is like a certification letter that has to go in, that's part of their program.
Sort of. It is a letter of support saying the county is supporting the program that Clear Alliance wants to run that will be included in Deschutes County. So it's a little bit different than normal. It's not a letter of support with the grant application. They already submitted the grant application. They received approval of that grant application is my understanding. And as part of that approval and moving forward with getting those grant dollars, they need a letter of support from the county saying the county acknowledges that this program is going to be happening within the county.
And is there a deadline for them to have this letter?
So I asked her that question. She doesn't have the exact date, but she thinks it's within a week or so.
I asked because, I'm supportive of the program, but at points in the past when the Clear Alliance has asked for discretionary grants, probably much smaller amounts of money, although we don't know because we don't know how much money they're receiving from ODOT. I didn't feel like the projects that they proposed had a really good, monitoring or impacts monitoring component. So, we're going to do these things to, reduce substance use. And it wasn't clear to me how they were going to know whether they had an effective program or not. And so if there's time, I would like to know what the monitoring or, the impacts evaluation component of this project looks like.
Okay. I will reach out to
It would
Kate.
also be nice
I
to
just
know-
talked to Kate a couple hours ago, so she knows I'm coming before you. So I'll give her a call this afternoon and ask her that question for you.
I mean, it'd also be nice to know how much money they're getting. But if they need it immediately, then, I mean, we could just vote to approve the letter, and I'd like to have that information at
Okay.
some point. If that's the preference of the other commissioners.
Well, according to what I've been hearing in the brewery industry, a lot of people now are getting stoned and they're not drinking beer. So that's really the fact that we have all these breweries here. It's they're really being impacted by decisions that users are making. So saying that it was 14% from, what was it, 18 to 22, 14% of the drivers were the result of cannabis. That's pretty amazing. I can only imagine it's getting higher. So that's the last time that they could give us a number then.
Well, with that, I'll move for approval of a letter to Oregon Department of Transportation on behalf of Clear Alliance for the grant they've received.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I support the information that Commissioner Chang was looking for also, just good, more information.
Okay, calling for the vote, Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Mr. Chang,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes.
Great. Are you comfortable signing the letter as is, or do you want that information first? I think we heard that we were okay signing, but wanted the information.
Yeah, I would love to, I would love to see the information first, but if it's time sensitive, then.
Not as time sensitive as some of the letters that go before, so I can get those. I was gonna ask you just to sign one of your copies there, but if we wanted to get the information first, we can do that, and then I'll circulate it for signature.
Circled
I
and-
wrote on
yeah,
mine too.
And this is in black.
And I wrote on mine too, so
Yeah, so we.
I'll get you the information
Jim's
and
got
then
one that's
circulate
not
it.
written
Okay.
on.
Yeah.
If you want, yeah, I'll start with it. Yeah.
You
I'll
have a
sign
copy?
it, just at least there's one signature's on it.
Thank
Great.
you. See,
How about you withhold the signed letter until you?
I will withhold the signed letter until I email you all three
Oh,
with that
now we're getting
information. Great.
somewhere.
okay,
You want that?
Thank you. And the second letter here, and Commissioner Chang may be able to speak on this a little bit more, but this letter is from the Giving Plate. And it's just a generic letter of support. So they don't have, I believe Commissioner Chang met with Renee Staley, and this came out of that meeting of kind of an ask of, is there something that county can support you on? And having a generic letter on file for future grant requests or just letter of support requests was what Renee was requesting out of that. So she drafted a draft generic letter of support. So that's what's before you for consideration. So no specific ask, no specific grant.
The kind of origins of this letter was Renee was, when I visited the Giving Plate facilities, Renee explained the kind of mushroom cloud of increased demand for their services that they've been facing over the last, really ever since they opened the doors on those two new locations, and the need to secure more and more philanthropic support in order to meet that expanding demand.
because the donations have actually gone down significantly. That's the other side of the story. It's really tragic. When I was just there, the really wonderful news was they had signed a relationship agreement with Eberhard Dairy, and they had milk and things in their cooler. And Renee didn't know it at the time. I think I told this story, but it was just amazing, and then I called Eberhard and they go, "Oh yeah, we just did that." And I'm like, thank you so much, because they do a great job. And just on a little side note, Renee just lost her Aussie, Charlie. He was missing a couple days and they just found his body, and I know if you see her, just say something to her, because she was, yeah, you know how it is. She had everybody looking for this sweet puppy. He was 2 years old. So I'm happy to sign their letter. I know they need more, it's going to be a tough time.
I generally like letters of support to be for a specific, to accompany a specific application and to name that specifically. In this case, just to have, speaking briefly with Renee about the kinds of philanthropic organizations she would be sending it to, I'm comfortable signing this generic letter.
She is one of the few people that honestly, she thanks the county first, usually. I mean, I was at her event a couple years ago and the first thing she's doing is thanking the county. We did really help their organization. Dan Emerson had worked with them when he used to work in the health department and said, what a great job they do. They really are. They're helping a lot of people stay in their homes. Are you okay? Okay.
I was just waiting for someone to make a motion.
Okay, make a motion.
Move approval of this general letter of support for the giving.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
There should be one copy that has color on it for this. Kim, do you have it? No? Oh, Brenda, we have the winner.
There it is.
Gonna get signatures right now.
And here's the other one.
I have my blue pen.
Yep.
Thanks for doing both of those. They're both really, they're at the top of the list.
I talked to both ladies and they were very appreciative for the consideration. So thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
Another
Thank you,
special
Jen.
note, happy birthday to Judy DeBone, my mom now. So I think I just did my dad, well, that was April, but 10/4, so October 4th is her birthday. So happy birthday, Judy.
Now you're going to send her a clip of that or what do
oh.
you think it's doing?
She watches sooner or later. She watches.
Oh, okay. Hey. Mrs. DeBonne, happy birthday. Yeah, very cool. Anything else? I know we have your your confidential review in executive. Anything else for general?
No.
Okay.
Read
Now,
it.
do we have to, okay, read the announcement?
The Deschutes County Board of Commissioners will now convene an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660. The specific authorization for this executive session is ORS 192.660 subsection 2I, which allows the board to meet in executive session in order to review and evaluate employee performance. Designated staff and the media are allowed to remain during the executive session. However, the media may only report that the board met in executive session and the identified basis for meeting in executive session. Recording devices are not permitted. No final decisions will be made in executive session. At the conclusion of the executive session, we'll open the doors and invite the audience back to the meeting.
Okay, so now we're going into exec. Thank you, Stephen.
It would just,
Sure, why not? So we're coming out, are we ready? Coming out of executive session, our administrator, Nick Lelak, has a statement he wants to make. You want to make a statement then, Nick?
Oh, I just want to say thank you very much for the evaluation, and I just conferred with legal counsel on what a motion would be if you.
oh, is there a motion or?
Well, she suggested now that, I guess, as you come out of executive session, to make a motion finding that I have performed.
Succeeded.
Oh, okay.
satisfactorily,
Yeah.
And met the standards and are thereby eligible for the contractual increase as outlined in my contract. That's what she had suggested for.
Okay.
There you
that
go.
sounds good.
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Well, yeah, thank you, Nick Lelak, for being our county administrator, for the leadership, for the partnership with all the other department heads and leading the county. We do have a strong administrative form of government, and it's a good partnership. So thank you for what you're doing.
And I want to thank the team that works with you because they're significant here in Deschutes County. I mean, you're an outstanding leader and your team is outstanding too. So thank you. So
If I can just say thank you to the board and to everybody that I work with, because I would not be successful and could not perform these duties without them. It's an extraordinary team. Thank you.
all
Thank
right.
you for being a very steady hand with a very complex organization in sometimes turbulent times.
So calling for the vote, Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So exceeded those standards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now I believe we can adjourn our meeting. Thank you.